There's a sudden closed door Fed meeting going on right now while we're talking.
Yeah, closed door Fed meeting, and they're not unheard of. But when we see these extremely volatile times in financial markets, specifically in the stock market, the banks that are trading in that space and other financial institutions to come under a bit of stress. The Federal Reserve would want to get out ahead of that. They don't want to be caught out again, kind of like during the by comparison now small SVB crisis that we saw, I believe, like 2 years ago now, before they announced that it was going to be regarding overnight lending rates and everything for banks. People were like, oh, are we going to get an emergency Federal Reserve cut? That doesn't appear to be the case. The Federal Reserve is just looking to prepare themselves, make sure that the liquidity is there for banks should they come under stress is in place so far.
Yeah, I mean, the margin calls are flowing right now in the equity markets especially, right? And probably a little bit in higher risk bonds too, because of all the things we just talked about. Just the forward-looking economic pictures is it's become quite a bit more glum than it was even a couple of weeks ago. So starting to feel that.
Going back to, the fact that, the Fed is not meeting for an emergency rate cut. We already had Trump push Powell over the weekend. This would be a perfect time for Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He is always late, but he could now change his image and quickly. This goes back to the thesis that, Jim, you had been pushing for the past month or two, right? That this is Trump's ultimate goal, is to lower rates.
Lower rates by any means necessary and lower energy costs. And hopefully that fights against some of the inflationary pressures that are coming from these tariffs and all this kind of rhetoric.